This and
Alexander, would you want me to be here?
here. Not there, but here. Yes. Okay. It's 2 o'clock, and let's start. To understand the procedure, we are discussing today only technical rules. These rules are in the rule book, starting with number 500. Rules that are 300, 400 are special regulations, and they are discussed at the section. Here is only technical rules. We'll split the discussion as follows. First, the committees will make their presentation on rules numbered 500. Then there will be, if necessary, questions or some objections, some remarks only on the 500 rules. Then Fabio will make his presentation on 600 rules and will discuss 600. Then the same way Halina will speak about 700, and then Chris will speak about synchronized. So the discussion will be always after each. Let's start.
Okay, so we can start the presentation of the technical rules in general. And these technical rules are presented by myself and by Alina together. So some rules will explained by me and some rules by Alina. Okay. So the first proposal is related, is a very simple one and self-explanatory, and it is related to that the men's may also wear tights, and it is decided to take out this restriction because in many cases trousers of the men are very tight and fitting the legs, so to avoid possible borderline cases we have decided to take out this restriction. The second proposal is related to have separated inside these proposals the fact of the false and the interruption. So in this proposal we remain only false, and the interruption is better wording and was much better explained in the rules 515. So we have divided the two subjects because interruption is not related only to false, but is related to many other subjects.
Proposal? No? Yes. Proposal 247 is divided into parts relating to Rule 504, and Para 1b relates to levels of difficulty. The ice dance part was reworded, and now all elements except choreographic elements are evaluated with the basic level. It means that all elements except choreographic elements, they have 5 levels for evaluation. And the second part relates to the same rule, Para 1c. According to the decision taken by the ISU Congress 2016, all elements for all disciplines will be evaluated with 11 grades of execution from -5 to +5. This decision was taken already at the Congress 2016, and it will be valid from the season 2018-19. The next proposal regarding components that was TIPO in Congress 2016, and projection should be moved as a separate criteria for component performance. Next. The next proposal, 249, refers again to components, and all 3 technical committees decided that the Mark 10 is something special and should be clearly distinguished from marks in 9s. And now we have from Mark 9 to 75. This is in range of excellent, and 10 is outstanding.
Okay, the next proposal is related to the draw procedure for the Grand Prix. And it is what it is currently done also today, but it is rewrite the whole things to make it more clear. There will be, what it is written here in the agenda will be probably also redraft, maintaining absolutely the same criteria, so but just for the wording. And this kind of procedure, it is for have a better presentation to the spectators and the television. But practically nothing is changing, it's just a rewording of, to have a better wording in the rule book. And the same is related to the other proposal because it's related to the same subject.
Proposal 252. This proposal relates to pattern dances and novice categories. For pattern dances, we adjusted the warm-up times, and it is reduced, the time is reduced for warm-ups, but the number of couples is increased. So the competition for pattern dancers, thanks to that, will be a little bit shorter. And also for novice categories, for free dance, we adjusted the warm-up time.
And here we are, as said before, to Rule 515, that it is the clarification of the procedure of the interruption. Interruption is always a big problem, and when this happens, it's always a nightmare for the referees. And it's how it was written before can create sometimes some problems of understanding, and especially could create some problem to find exactly the place where was placed the accident that it occurs. So the two committees has decided to rewording totally the rules and to put it absolutely in a logical order or the possible cases. And so that's the reason, because it is all the proposal is mainly new and underlined. And the next proposal is urgent proposal 15, and it is related to the number of entry in the free skating final for the World Championship. Based on the high level of the pair skating that we have seen in the last 2 years in the World Championship, we thought that it was not logical to have such a restricted number for the pairs that are allowed to skate the final free skating. So we are proposing to have, instead of 16, to have 20 pairs that can skate the final free skating. This permits not only of 4 more pairs to skate, but also mainly to other 4 members to participate. And we thought that at the time being, considering the level of pair skating that has developed so much, it is a good decision.
Proposal 254 relates to timeline for entering judges and substitute judges for championships, and the change is that now the names of the judges to be entered 21 days prior to the first official practice, and not as we have now in this rule prior to initial judges meeting. This is also in line with Rule 378, and for Synchro is the Rule 868, as I know. Okay, so that's it with this part.
If you have any questions related to this?
Any questions, remarks on this part that was presented, rules numbered 500?
Christiane Merth, Austria. I'm referring to proposal 253, second part. The skater has to, if the quality of the music is not fine, is not okay, he has to refer to the referee within 10 seconds. And I'm afraid that within 10 seconds it's not possible.
Okay, we thought that 10 seconds could be enough just to understand if the music is correct or not correct, because generally the tempo is anyway quite, with the new digital things, is not really the problem, but generally it is when it is something totally wrong, so the wrong music. Maybe we can discuss with our committee and enlarge a little bit this. Thank you.
No, please come to the microphone, and everybody who speaks name themselves.
Hello, Bavka Kitiru Novakovic, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I would like to support discussion of Mrs. Christiane Merth, delegate from Austria. it's from experience, it can happen. Like she said, that's not enough 10 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have one remark, Fabio. The Rule 513 speaks not only about Grand Prix events, everything is clear here, but also about Grand Prix final, when there is only one group. And so maybe we need to revert it a little bit, taking into account what happens at the final.
Yes, is what I said, that it is probably have to be redrafted a little bit. And thank you, Alexander, to have pointed that it is related to the fact that the rules, how it is written, provide 12 skaters, but in Grand Prix final we have only 6. And so it is better to rewording a little bit the situation to cover very clearly all the competition, including Grand Prix final.
Any other questions or remarks on this part, please?
Boris Chait, Israel. Urgent proposal 15. I think needs a little clarification and maybe to adjust it to make sense out of it. We don't say anything here about Europeans. I'm talking about pairs and dance.
Yes. Yeah, the proposal is related only to World Championship at the moment.
Okay. And we talk about Europeans.
There is we thought that only at the World Championship the level was enough high to have 20, so at the Europeans and 4 continents we have left 16. That was related more for the World Championship because of the level of the world standard. Clearly it's possible to think also about that. We can take it in consideration and to speak with the committee and the council, but the proposal was related for the World Championship.
Okay, so now if we go to the Worlds. In pairs we said 20, which makes sense. Now dance, it's got to be 24.
I absolutely agree with you, but it depends on the organizing committee and on the council whether we can enlarge one group more. In that case, I would say not 24 but 25, because in ice dance we have warming groups by 5. So if we can enlarge to 25, we will be really happy, because the standard of all these couples up to 30, they are good enough to represent, to show the free dance at the World Championships.
Now I have a question to the legal advisor. The proposal as it is for pairs. Can we make changes that relate now to dance?
It says here dance too.
But for the dance there is no change for so far for the
I
World
understand,
Championships.
that's why discussing it.
And I ask the question, can we discuss it if there was no proposal and proposal was only for pairs?
This is not so easy a question, but in my view, the answer is no, because there was absolutely no proposal relating in this respect to ice dance. So that's really not concerning the proposed proposal.
Well, we're going to go later. I understand from the legal point of view. We always talk legal. But we're going to go later. There are some things saying to shorten, let's say one country has 3 representatives, to make it 2 and everything. Then we're going to go into this discussion. And which I don't think it's right too. to limit to 2 instead of 3. So it's got to
sorry.
give somewhere.
Sorry, Boris, it's a different rule.
I know.
We
I'm
are
just saying-
discussing this rule.
Yeah, I know. That's why. I think, I know it's legal, not legal, but we are putting it for 4 years. There are countries who are working very hard to do it. And I don't think this is fair for the countries, for the athletes, to leave it this way. It's very easy to say it's not legal, but we got to find a way.
Well, if something is not legal, we cannot make it, sorry. But we'll discuss afterwards with the legal advisor and see. We've heard your proposal. We'll look at it closely if it's possible to change something here today.
Thank you.
If there are no other remarks or objections, we'll move to Rule 600, and the floor is to the Chair of the Committee, Fabio Vinchetti.
Okay, so we go to the section related only to single and pair. We are presenting not all the proposal, but the main proposals. Anyway, they are nearly all. So we received from several members that are Bosnia and Herzegovina, Canada, Finland, Japan, Netherlands, and USA, several proposals, and some suggestions also from coaches, judges, and representatives of the skaters. These proposals and suggestions were studied and used for our proposal. The first proposal is related to the jump combination, and it is there is no any changes. It's just a changing of procedure how to call the half loop that it was decided to call Euler. It was just another terminology. And this Euler, it is considered a listed jumps when executed in between two jumps. And this Euler will have a value in the scale of value. And the reason is to specify this as a different jump of the half loop that before was called in the abbreviation as the single loop, but create sometimes some misunderstanding because the single loop is another jump. So it's just a different terminology that you will see on the PDF, but there is no changes respect to the past. The jump sequence has a new definition, and this is a change. The jump sequence, it is a sequence consists of two jumps of any number of revolution, followed by an axel type jump. This was a sequence also before, so it is not. The fact is that we do not consider the sequence anymore jumps that are connected with some hops, some steps that was the case before. And the number of the jumps before of the sequence could be any, and now it is limited to 2. The reason for that it is that the jumps performed in this kind of sequence, many cases were quite far one from the other. The rhythm was losing, and considering this as a unit element was not the best. It was not used even so much, frankly speaking. It was used very seldom, but in some cases was used. So it was decided that in the case the jumps are too far, it will be considered two separate jumps, and to consider a jump sequence only the one followed by, as a last jump, the axel. Illegal element. After a long discussion, we decided that the most of our legal elements are not logical to have anymore. So we left only as illegal element the somersault jumps and the lift with wrong holds. This permits to have more possibility of choreographical position, choreographical elements, and it is not the case anymore to have this restriction. So we have decided to eliminate all that and to make the program much more free, respect the past. The solo jumps in the short program was always with requirements that has to be immediately preceded by connecting steps or other comparable free skating movements. We have decided to take out this request because step preceding the solo jumps becomes a plus bullet for any jump element in all the programs, so either in free skating and in short programs. So it becomes a plus for jumps in any jumps performed. And the second thing it is these elements, so the jump preceded by connecting steps, was also always very controversial evaluation, and all the time this element create problem because we had very different opinion how to consider it and how to evaluate these connecting steps. So to avoid this problem and to be more consistent, we have decided to take out these requirements for this element in the short program. Repetitions. The proposal is that any quadruple jumps cannot be included more than once in any free program as a solo jumps or a part of jump combination of sequence. The reason for that it is to have more variety and to have more and to give more credit to the skaters that can perform different quad jumps. There is also a certain kind of consistency in the possibility to repeat the element, because the single jumps can be repeated anytime you want, the double jumps can be repeated all the time twice, the triple jumps can be repeated only twice in combination of sequence, and the quad jumps that are the most difficult you cannot repeat than once. So we thought that it was not penalizing practically anybody, because for anybody will be the same, so the repetition will not penalize anybody, and the possibility to have more variety, it is our goal. The last Congress decided to have a reduction of the time for the free skating in pairs and in men. And it was also proposed which element to take out, because having to reduce the time, we had to cut out one element from these programs. And at that time, for pair skating, was decided to propose to eliminate the choreo sequence. But during these 2 years, especially coming from coaches and skaters also, to eliminate the choreo sequence was not maybe the best element. And so we are asked to take it into consideration to eliminate something else. And after research, especially with the coaches, the element that was asked more to take out was a spin. In the program, we had 2 spins in the free program, a solo spin and a pair spin combination. So we followed their suggestion to take out 1 spin, and after the decision was also to connect this decision with, because in this case we had only 1 spin in the free program, to connect this with the short program. The present rules say that the solo spins and the pair combo spins in the short program has to be alternate every second year, but we thought that was more logical to have 1 every year in the short program and 1 every year in the free skating. And the solo spin, that it is a little bit more technical, we decided to leave in the short program and to put every year the pair combo spin in the free skating. So that's the reason, because there are also some other rules related to this, but it is just a consequence of the situation. So practically what we are saying is that the previous Congress was proposed to eliminate the choreo sequence. We keep back the choreo sequence and we take out 1 of the spin. This is just a change of terminology. In the lift that pairs can perform in free skating, before was written that not all the lift, either in junior and in senior, can be of group number 5. We thought more logical to say not all the lift from the same group. So this covered a little bit more all the groups. So it's just a change of terminology, but practically will not change anything related to this. Carry lift, it's in the previous regulation, carry lift has a certain kind of strange situation, because it was, when performed in free skating, in the first lift, it is considered as a feature, but if performed in short program, it becomes an illegal element. So the fact is, we thought that to take it out as a legal element, generally speaking, and to keep the situation that the carry lift can be performed whenever the skater wants, it is not anymore an illegal element, but only the first time performed will be considered as a feature, like they are most of the feature. Why it was that the second time performed or in short program becomes an illegal element, I don't know exactly. It was in the rules since many years, but it was a really tough situation in which the element that in the first lift has a plus and in the second lift performs becomes or in short program becomes a no value. It was not logical. Okay. Just to say something?
Is it all?
Yeah, it's all.
Okay, thank you, Fabio. So, on these rules 500, what questions, remarks, objections do you have? Now is the time.
Something wrong? Or something?
Artem Knyazev, Uzbekistan. Maybe it's better to think, as I understand, the technical committee would like to see more creative element in short and also in free program in proposal 257, rule for 257, yeah? 257, erase everything. But logically, it will be much, much better if we will have a strict rules in short program and we will give the possibility to be more creative in the free program. Because if the skaters start to use that illegal elements in both programs, it will look the same. It's just a suggestion to think. Maybe it will be better. And I really disagree with 261 because it's still the same point. It is a restriction for free program. And I have a question. How many features we have in the pair lifts? Only 7 features. So we have 3 lifts in the free program, and only 7 features can use. So it means that if it will be only group 4 lift with all 7 features, it already will be a completely different lifts. So it is restriction, but it is a free program. And I would like that technical committee give a possibility to choose whatever the skaters and coaches want to put in free program.
But you are talking about rule, you said?
What proposal?
What proposal is?
261.
261 is the quad jump.
Yes.
So it is not related to the lift.
So, Artyom, please clarify. The first item we understood, but the second... But it's not about this, he's talking about it.
Proposal 261.
But 261 speaks about repetition of quads.
Sorry. Okay, the questions about the free program of pairs, lifts.
What rule, what proposal?
Well-balanced program, free program in pairs.
6 to 1? 266?
Two, 6, 7. Not all from the same group.
So
I think if we will count all 7 features, it will be less when the skater couples use a different, the same group of the lift.
No, but I don't understand. You want to have that possibility to have all the 3 lifts of the same group?
Yes, I would like to give to skaters and to coaches possibility to choose, because I see the strict rules, what I have to choose.
But it's not strict. It is absolutely like it was ever. Before was just written not all for group 5. Now we say not all from the same group, but it is the same.
I know what I will see in future on the ice rink. Group 3, group 4, and group 5. That's it. And
no,
that's it.
Because not all for the same groups means that you can do 2 from the same group.
Yes, but...
Yeah, it's like today.
Okay, I think I understood the idea. Artyom wants freedom to do any 3 lifts, but the idea of the rule currently is that people should not have all lifts of group 5, because that was the main goal. The committee will discuss your idea and report tomorrow whether it goes this way or not. Thank you. Any other? Yes, please.
My name is Evelyn Warsuki-Schneider from Austria, and I'm coming for rules 266, but in general also for
a little bit louder, Evelyn, please.
But in general also for single skating. Are you going to change the minimum technical score since you delete one element? I mean to get into Europeans or World Championships?
Well, it's a different subject, and it does not relate to this question. If the system of qualifying remains the same, we'll have to change the minimum score.
Okay.
But maybe we'll go with some different system. It's a separate issue.
Okay, thank you.
Katarina Henriksson, Sweden. Regarding proposal number 261, the repetition of the quads, I have difficulty to see how we will have more variety with only one quad. I think we will get more triples. So I can't really understand. So I think the repetition of the quad should stay, that it is now, within a sequence or a jump combination.
Okay, we will anyway discuss. The variety is more because if you have two quads and the first 4 jumps are related only to these 2 quads, because you have to perform to get points, finally you will have less variety than not having the possibility to repeat and to do something a little bit different. That is the idea. And but we will, after that we can rediscuss and to see, but was the idea.
Yeah, because it will be the same with the triples. If they try 2 triple loops, it would be the same result.
Yes and no, because the fact is that the triples, all the people are repeating, can repeat, all the people, mainly the men can do the triples, but they can do some also the quad, some do the triple lutz, some do the triple loops, some do the triple flip, and the triple axel as well. So the fact is that the variety, it is more. When you have to do some quads, and because you have to compete for that, and you can do only 2, these 2 you have to repeat. So the majority of the skaters will do the same things because they have no other option. So to decrease a little bit this possibility would give more variety. That was our opinion for that.
Conor McIver, New Zealand.
Please.
So I also want to speak to the same...
Can you speak a little bit louder? And introduce yourself, please.
I'm quite tall.
Yeah.
New Zealand figure, Conor McIver. The same proposal around quads, proposal 261. I believe that this goes in the opposite direction to moving away from a jump focus and focusing on the artistry. What we're going to see is that the only skaters who can do multiple quads in the program are those who can do all the different quads. It will mean that the skaters who are more artistic and have managed to do, say, 2 quad toes in the program, and that's how they were keeping up before, will no longer be able to compete at all because they're only allowed to try 1 quad. It's disadvantaging those skaters who can't just jump a large variety. That's what we believe. You're going to see a more technical and less artistic balance. I also have a question around proposal 255. I wonder if we should say a EULA when used in combination between 2 listed jumps is a listed jump, just for clarity, because that discounts the possibility of using it between a listed and, say, an unlisted, just for clarity.
Thank you.
Paolo Pizzocari from Italy. Just a clarification on rule 610. No, 610, the last point, it disappears lying and prolonged and or stationary kneeling on both knees. So there will be some rule about this stationary kneeling, or skaters can stay on the ice all the time he wants. That's it.
We had delayed this because we thought that nobody will stay so much on the ice. If in case we see that somebody stay 40 seconds lying on the ice without doing anything, maybe we can reconsider it back this possibility.
Sergei Sviridov, Russian figure. I would like to support the opinion of Katarina Henriksson from Sweden and our colleagues from New Zealand that it makes no logic that you would allow repetition of triple jumps, one in combo, one solo, but the restriction for the quadruple jumps. It makes no sense. Either restrict everything or allow everything. Because the variety is to have more different jumps, quads and triples, rather than repeating triples 2 times. And this is one thing. And another question about the proposal 259, what is the actually purpose of deleting connecting steps in the short program? As Fabio Benchetti said, it's difficult to distinguish this. But for many years, the skaters were doing this and the judges were able to distinguish this. What is the problem now? Either the skaters now cannot do them or the judges cannot figure out where the steps are.
Okay, John, do you want to reply to something, and after I will reply about the steps?
Yes, John Coughlin, Singles and Pairs Technical Committee. I just wanted to clarify that I disagree that the skater that can only do 2 quad toes is not protected with the repetition rule, because in fact the skater that's taking the ice currently and doing 2 quad lutzes and 2 quad flips will also not be allowed to do that. So the skilled jumpers will then have to show a quad of each nature if they want to fill all of the quad jump boxes, and they won't be able to just go out and do 2 high-value quads and run away from the rest of the competitive field. Thank you.
And Sergei, about the steps, as I said, the steps are becoming now a bullet for all the jumps, and the fact that the judges were able to evaluate this. But anyway, there was a lot of controversial evaluation. So the fact is not that the judges are bad or good before or not now, or the reverse. It's just that we thought it was not so much logical to keep these requirements. That was done many, many years ago, when the jumps will never be preceded by steps, just as a certain kind of learning things. So at the time being, after so many years, we thought it was not necessary anymore to keep it.
Okay, Mona Adolfsen, Norway. We would also like to support for the proposal 261, what Sweden and Russia and all the others also told, because at the time being, the ones that are doing all the quads, they are still getting credit for it today. And yes, John, it's possible for those to repeat the quad lutz and quad flip, but we know that the level, not the top level skaters, but the ones below, they may do the quad salcho and the toe, and this will make a much more difference between the top skaters and the ones after. So we will love to have it as it is today.
Before we continue, we have some time limit. So I suggest 2 or 3 more, and we don't have more time, sorry.
Christiane Merth from Austria speaking. I also want to support Sweden, because it's also I see also the problem. We are talking about the very high level when we mention 2 quad lutz. Sometimes it can be dangerous for skaters when they try at all reasons to learn more quads. And if a skater who does quad sal and quad toe tries, because he cannot repeat them, tries to learn quad flip and quad lutz, maybe it's dangerous for the skater.
Patrick, you reply?
Patrick Meyer, Single and Pair Technical Committee. I just try to explain you what we're really doing, and we are changing the situation only for two group of skaters. So if you're able to do one quad, with the new rule, you can do only one quad, not two like today. So the difference between the ones they cannot do a quad and the ones they can do one quad will be one quad less. Okay, this is one difference. The next difference is if you are able to do two quads. Nowadays, you can repeat these two quads, so you can do 4 quads. The difference to the one they can do only one quad. Nowadays, they can repeat this one quad, they can do 2 quads. So the difference between the group of skaters they are able to do one quad to the group of skaters they can do 2 quads is, with the new rule, only 1. With the existing rule, 2 quads. When we go on for the group, they can do 3 quads. There it's not changing anything, because nowadays they can repeat 2 of the quads and they can do a 3rd quad. So nowadays they can do 5 quads. With the new rule, they can only do 3 quads. The difference to the ones they can do 2 quads, it's getting complicated, I know. But if a group of skaters can do 2 quads, nowadays they can repeat them and do 4. So the difference to the group with 3 quads is 1 quad. And this stays the same with the new rule. So we have only a differentiation between the one with no quad and the one with 1 quad. The difference is that we reduce the difference by 1 quad and so on.
Thank you, Patrick. Though the mathematics works very well, though still there are plenty of skaters with only 1 quad. Okay, 2 last.
You were first, or not? I want to, Jeroen Prins, Netherlands. I would like to bring one other perspective into the discussion, and that is the total number of quads possible in the men skating, mainly the men free skating program. The proposal of the committee would eliminate the total number of quads possible, as you, without quad axle, you would have only 5 possibilities to do a quad jump. If we stay with the situation as it is, you have the possibility to do 7. So my question is to the technical committee, is it your intention, because I didn't hear this argument in the discussion, to increase variety or to eliminate the total number of quads?
No, it was not to eliminate the total number of quads.
To reduce the number.
Yes, to reduce, because that was not the final intention. It is a consequence, because clearly if we cannot, if we do not allow to repeat quads, finally the number of quads is increased by 2, in case the skater decided to make the repetition. But it is to have, as you said, more variety.
Yeah, okay. I wanted just to bring into the discussion that we actually would be reducing the number of quads. Personally, I'm not against, but I didn't hear this argument. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeroen. And the last.
Ari Zakarian, Armenia Figure Skating. You know, for many years in the United States, figure skating was not really having a good days. And this year at Stars on Ice Tour, finally, the numbers were very high because Nathan Chen, he performed 6 quads, and everybody were talking about that the guy came and he performed so many quads, and that was the main draw for the audience to go and see the show, and it's a business that was very important for the skating. That's in the first place. And also, in my opinion, it will be also it will be dangerous for other skaters that they are not able to perform any other quads, but they're going to go for it, and they're going to get more injuries. It's going to be so many injuries that you don't even know right now, and you don't even understand how difficult it's going to be for the skater that in his life, triple toe is the only jump that he can do it perfectly, and he can go for the 2 quads, and he can somehow bring his level of the competition in a higher level, unlike somebody who not able to perform quads, he will be able to nearly challenge this guy, and the other ones are going to go and try to learn more quads, and there are going to be more injuries also. So to me, I think we need to push the limit of, there will be no limit. The sport has to go always up. It has to always increase. The records always have to go higher, and we cannot break the possibility of evaluation in this sport. And I would personally suggest if we can vote on this matter, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people against what I'm talking about right now, the rule that you guys propose. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That's all we can do for single and pairs. We are anyhow out of time. It was very interesting, but Halina, please.
For ice dance, we got proposals from various members as well, from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Japan, Netherlands, and the US. And the Ice Dance Technical Committee received many comments from officials, mainly through referees and technical controllers' reports, as well as from coaches and skaters at our meetings, which we are organizing at all championships. And most of the ideas related to technical rules were integrated by IDTC in the amendments proposed to the Congress, some as joint proposals with 2 committees, some as 3 committees, and some separate just for ice dance. Proposal 270 is a proposal which allows for greater flexibility and variety in step sequences. We are introducing another pattern along the short axis, and this pattern will be used for next season already as one of the requirement patterns for a step sequence. Proposal 271. This proposal is for technical elements, for all technical elements to include in one rule, and to provide the possibility for introducing new elements between the congresses. As you will see for the next proposals, next 3 proposals, 272, 273, and 274, we are just deleting this sentence for twizzles, dance, spin, and dance lifts, and all these elements are now included in one rule. Proposal 275, a proposal related to illegal lift movement and pose. And we decided to remove some restrictions from the list of illegal movements poses to give possibility for couples to choose different poses, different elements during the lifts, and it will give more variety for this element. Proposal 276 relates to new pattern dances. We have introduced and included in the rule book new pattern dances for novice, for juniors, and for seniors. And I am very happy to announce that these 3 pattern dances, Ramba d'Amore for seniors, Tea Time Foxtrot, and Maple Leaf for juniors and seniors, are already ready with all the documentation, with DVD, educational DVD, with patterns, description, charts. Everything is ready, and for the season 2019-20, we decided that the Tea Time Foxtrot will be used as a required pattern dance element for juniors. As we have introduced these 3 pattern dances, we are not determining how many sequences they have to do, because this will be decided by the technical committee when one of these pattern dances will be selected for the season, and this will be announced in the communication. Urgent Proposal 16 refers to pattern dances. And there was a sentence which is not in place any longer because the start of pattern dances is set or it is specified by IDTC and not by the referee. So the sentence which refers to the referee, that the referee can decide where the pattern dance starts, is deleted. We have given the possibility for couples to use for pattern dances, for all pattern dances, their own music. When we give this possibility, we had to make a time limit when they have to stop to come to the final position after the last step of the pattern dance. So we had determined this 20 seconds after the last step, and if it is not within the permitted time, in proposal 202 is described what is deduction for that. The next proposal, urgent proposal, and this refers to novice categories, as we have these novice categories in the rule book, that what was already explained in proposal 247 regarding the 11th grade of execution, which will be in place since next season. This also is for the juniors. So from -5 to plus, for novice, sorry, from -5 to +5. And another rule, urgent proposal 18, also regarding to novice, is that component definitions may vary for novice and specified with an ISU communication. And this is particularly for basic novice and intermediate novice, when we require a little bit different set of components for these lower levels. And the next urgent proposal, number 19, and this refers to our proposal 249, which was already presented, that also for novice we divided 10 and 9, and there are two separate, let's say, pool of marks, 9 to 9.75 excellent and 10 as a separate mark outstanding. We have decided to change the title for that what we have now, short dance, and we changed to the rhythm dance. Why we have to decide this? Because short dance does not describe what really the skaters are doing and what we require. We require for every season different rhythms. We designate rhythms each season for ice dance couples, and this part of the competition is exactly about the rhythms. Therefore, we decided to change the title for rhythm dance. And this change will be made for all the rules you have. We selected rules. I'm sure that we missed something, but during the drafting, I hope we will find all places where short dance should be changed to rhythm dance. The next two proposals, 280 and 283, relates to the same subject. The first one to short dance, the next to rhythm dance, let's say already rhythm dance, and the next one to free dance. And this is clarification what is already allowed by the IDTC, the stop at the beginning of the program and at the end. And the next two proposals, again, 281 and 284, relates to the same subjects. It's kneeling or sliding on two knees. And this proposal is, we are adding at the end of the wording in the rule that IDTC with an ISU communication may allow kneeling or sliding on two knees for the season when we decide that, for example, for the rhythms, it is a kind of element which is specific, like we did it already in season 16-17 when the rhythm was hip-hop and it was a specific movement for this rhythm. So far, we do not have choreographic elements in the short dance, what will be rhythm dance after, I hope, after this Congress. And for the future, to have the possibility to include choreographic elements in the rhythm dance, we would like to increase the number and not have limited just to one, but have, if necessary and if we decide, to have more choreographic elements, which are very, very specific for ice dance. So that's it for ice dance. If there are any questions to this part, I will be happy to answer.
Any questions, remarks, please?
I'm George Jelek, Hungary. I just would like to ask for a clarification about the proposal number 275. So the rule 704, paragraph 16, E, I would like to ask if I understand correctly. So it will be allowed to raise above the head, so lift above the head unless it is fully extended by the lifting partner.
If it is a supporting hand, yes. If it is a lifting hand, no. That's just for supporting hand. It's written in the brackets.
Okay, but it says that with the fully extended arms, that's the illegal. So if the point of contact for the lifting partner's lifting hand and it's not fully extended arms, it can be possible to raise above the head, right?
Yes, we've not fully extended.
Yes, that's what, thank you.
We've not fully extended. Yes, we fully extended just the supporting arm.
Thank you.
I would like to remind you that Group 1 in pair skating, it is something like you are talking right now.
You know, we have such a variety of lifts that I really, if the pairs will not take from ice dance, it would be great.
I think we had enough on single and pair skating, sorry.
Leanna Karen, Canada. Same point as what...
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Leanna Karen, Canada. Maybe same point as Georgie just made, just a clarification then, because it has arms, plural. I guess the intent there is that you can have supporting arms that go like this. Is that correct?
Yes, the supporting arm, yes. The lifting arm, not fully extended.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, anything else?
Conor McIver, New Zealand, regarding proposal 283. So with the addition of that statement that the 10 seconds may be at the beginning and or end of the program, that now means that you don't specify the total amount of stops within the program, which the rule used to cover.
Mm-hmm. These stops are not within the permitted stops. These are stops which we allow to be on spot for 10 seconds at the beginning or end. But inside the program, in the rhythm dance, they are specified. In the free program, they are not specified. So, but at the beginning of the program, after 10 seconds, at the beginning, they have to move. They cannot stay on place. Otherwise, there is a deduction.
So, as it used to be, though, they couldn't remain in one place for more than 10 seconds during the entire program. So that limited to only 2 stops per program.
No. These stops are not counted with the number of permitted stops.
But the original rule used to cover that. And so now you're saying during the program, full stops, which may be up to 5 seconds, and it doesn't say how many. So it means they could stop every 5 seconds for 5 seconds.
Okay, so if it's not clear, we will work on that and we'll bring the drafting, exactly. Later on. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. And last but not the least, synchronized skating.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Alexander said, last but not least, but I have to say I am aware that I'm between you and the coffee break. So I shall, first of all, be very aware of the time, and secondly, try and take you through this fairly quickly, as I, more than anyone, realize that there is not necessarily as much interest in all of the synchro rules as there may be in the quadruple jump fest that we've just had. So, excuse me 1 second. If we take the special regulations section, this is very short for us. I would like to ask you, you all have the proposals in front of you. What we are doing in the special regulations with proposals 285 to 289 and 296 is dealing with a situation that faced us at a World Championship where we require 16 members of the team to skate. This is simply dealing with that situation and also dealing with less than that number of skaters at international events. Rule 290, we are dealing with clarification simply for how injuries will be handled at events. Rule 299, we are dealing with the clarification of our world standing table and how that is drawn up. At the moment, we have some issues, and we want to make this as relevant as possible before moving forward, hopefully with the Olympic bid. 295 is an omission from the previous years where we did not state at what point we would require the skaters to begin their program. So we are simply adding 10 seconds. And 299, as I said, is world rankings. One addition that may be of more interest because there is a budgetary aspect, and that is the presentation of medals for our junior world champions rather than giving them certificates. So we have presented the budget, and we hope that this will be supported by the members. That is everything that we have included in the special regulations. If there are any questions related to those, I'm very happy to answer those before we move on to the request that came from the members. I knew that you would all be very excited about this. So, after consultation, both at Worlds with our coaches at the Global Coaches meeting, and after requesting input from our various members, we received proposals from the Finnish Figure Skating Association, the Swedish Association, and the USFSA. going through these fairly quickly. I think Alexander gave me a 10-minute limit, so I will try and move through fairly quickly for you. The proposal from Finland affected Rule 965, and it was the allowance of the delayed start. We accept that, and we've included it in Proposal 354. We have another proposal from Sweden, which was the time, as I say, reckoned from when the skater begins to move. We have also agree with this proposal, and the only modification we have made is it's not just when they skate, it's when the body moves that we start the clock. So we have accepted that proposal. Also from Sweden, there is a proposal for Rule 990, and again, we have accepted the suggestion from Sweden, and we had incorporated this in Proposal 361. Sweden also included a suggested change for the elements. Again, this is to do with ice coverage requirements. Again, we are very happy to accept the proposal, and we have included this in the proposals 366, 367, and 370, other than the move element, which is no longer, which we do have a requirement for the skaters to remain within half of the ice, and this is for both the judges, the technical panel, and for TV. Rule 990, Sweden's been very busy this year. Thank you, Katarina. But I will say, I know we're laughing, I will say that these were all welcome, and you'll see that all the proposals we had from the members we have accepted and included. The proposal to change 990 for the group lift element, you can see this is a fairly long proposal, but again, we've said that we accept the principle. There is still a requirement that they should be within half of the ice for the reasons I've just stated, but we accept the request from Sweden. And again, Sweden, Rule 990, the intersection element. And again, we have accepted what Sweden has proposed because we were getting rid of one of the phases. And you can see this does go on a little bit. The only change is that we no longer have an intersection without a PI. So that has been removed as an element, so that's why it doesn't apply. But we have included everything else in Rule 369. Then, again, the pair element, we accepted the suggestion and included in 372, and we accept that the pairs must act as a unit. Synchronized spin element, we again are in favor of the suggestion from Sweden. We have included it in 374, and we are perfectly happy with the change of the phases. And for 990, again, definition of the additional features of the requirements, we have included this in our proposal 377. Different types of spins, and again, we agree with the proposal from Sweden, and we had included it in 388. It's good when great minds think alike, Katarina. The difficult variation of the upright spin, we support the proposal, but we actually say it is actually possible for the body to remain upright, and we do have photographic evidence to show you that, if you like it, Katarina. Then free skating move in spirals. We have included the proposal with the slight modification because, as I say, the body can remain upright. So we don't want to restrict how the teams perform the element unnecessarily. The back-to-back preparation, yes, that's fine. We had the same idea, so that's included in proposal 398. And for the definition of the features and requirements, we again have incorporated into Rule 400, but but we do feel that the definition of the change of position of a lifted skater should remain, just for clarification for those people with less experience. The change of pivot point, again, in this one we're partially in favour. However, we feel that it's important to be very clear on what the technical panel is expecting so that there is no confusion for the teams or in the calling of these elements. And yes, guess who again? That would be Sweden. For the short program requirements, we've included this in 405 because we are now allowing assisted jumps, etc., for the juniors. Non-permitted elements for Rule 992. Yes, and we've incorporated this into Proposal 411. And we have another bidder for fame here. So from US Figure Skating, there is a suggestion that we revise the requirements for nomination and appointment of referees. We have been looking at this fairly extensively. All of the requirements for qualification for seminars, requirements for promotion, requirements to be included in the lists, and you will see that in our proposals in the next section. We have not included the actual proposal from USFSA, but we have updated the proposal in our proposals 311 and 312. And I would commend you to please consider those proposals as we are moving from the current 3-year requirement to 4 years, and that brings us in line with singles, pairs and dance. And we think it's important that we have the consistency across the disciplines. The allowance of the delayed start. This has always been a fairly interesting issue. It is slightly different for synchronized skating as it is for what happens with singles and pairs, singles particularly. I know that in singles, if you allow them to skate for too long and restart the program, that can cause you some issues. We don't quite have the same problem. But we have included the wording in Proposal 356. So I'm very happy to say that we found all of the suggestions from the coaches that we received and all of the suggestions from the members. We were able to incorporate all of those with some very minor amendments. So thank you very much for taking the time and trouble from those people who did actually submit, and gold star to Sweden. Moving on to the changes that have been suggested by the technical committee themselves. Rather than go through one by one, please, if people have any questions about any of the specific proposals, we are very happy to take those, consider those, and make any changes for tomorrow. But to summarize the reason behind the changes that we are putting forward, we have been working towards Olympic inclusion for the discipline. So we are working to have a world standing. We're looking at the minimum scores, etc., and ensuring that we have the team sizes and other issues related to the team's performance. We are bringing more order to the world ranking procedure, and we will be introducing a series of events that will allow teams to gain world ranking points without disadvantaging those teams where there are not many events in their region. So we are taking that into account in the proposal. The changes that you're seeing to the programs themselves and the program structure is to, again, allow the teams more freedom to bring more creativity and more variety in the programs, as well as allowing, with the new artistic elements, the ability to move from one element to the other very quickly, so it gives more pace and hopefully will be more attractive for the audience and for TV. We've also reduced the number of features so that we can facilitate the accelerated change in the elements and the pace of the programs. And looking to give even more excitement. We know that the synchronized audiences can get very overexcited at times, for those of you who have been at our events, but we want to give even more of a buzz for them. And finally, the other changes are really to bring greater simplification. You will be aware over the past 3 congresses that this committee has worked very hard to simplify the rules, to reduce the size of the rule books, so that we have far less opportunity for misunderstanding when it comes to evaluating and calling programs. And we have done a great deal as well to standardize with the other disciplines. Much of that was done at the last Congress, the one before, but we still strive to keep the rules in line with what is being done with the other disciplines. So I hope that those will be acceptable. If you have questions, please let me know. One other area that we have looked at, again, for the harmonization is looking at the seminar attendance requirements, and we are using a more liberal approach because we know that we have some challenges in our discipline for people to be able to attain the minimum requirements, so we are showing flexibility. And we are very enthusiastic about the introduction of webinars and e-learning to try and cut down people's travel time, as well as make use of technology that's now available to us. The service requirements, we want to extend the duration that we have for people to gain promotion to ISU level. We feel at this point it is rather quick. People can be moving from international to ISU with only one event.
Chris, this is special regulations already.
Okay, moved on.
Yes, the program was 5 minutes longer than expected.
But I've covered everything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any
questions?
Questions, remarks, please?
Uliana Cherkova from Russia. I have a question about the Article 365, about the new artistic element. So this element has only 3 levels of difficulties, and the highest level is level 3. So it is very easy for each team to get the highest level. And it means that this element will have a fixed value for all of the teams, and only judges will influence the total value of this element. And currently there are 3 artistic elements in the free skating of the senior, plus 1 creative element. That means that all teams will have the same level for 4 elements out of 10. And maybe this conducts us to the System 6.0, taking into consideration that the new range of GOE marks will be higher. And just our suggestion is just maybe to reduce the number of artistic elements in the free skating for seniors.
The reason that we have the number is to allow the variety and the quick change from element to element. These are not supposed to be difficult elements. They are essentially elements joining the more difficult and more valuable elements. So they would be short, they would be quick, and it would be allowing the changes in shape and moving from one to the other.
We are okay with these elements. Like, yes, it's good to have such quick elements, and the variety will be very high. But another problem is that there will be the same marks for 4 elements. Like, all of the teams will have the same value.
At the moment, we do have the creative elements where, again, we have the same marks for the element itself, but the judges are the ones who are providing the differentials. And that's the intention, is that we want the programs to be more creative, to be more interesting for the audience. This is encouraging. Rather than giving technical requirements, we want them to be interesting.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more issue, just small. I have a question about the Article 411 in the agenda. You have deleted the non-permitted elements, features and additional features and added the new non-permitted items never implemented before, like stopping and separated more than necessary. Can you please explain the reason for adding new restrictions?
Should we do this now, Alexandra, or later? This is actually moving on to the technical.
If I understood correctly, that you've deleted many features from here, but added 2 lines, and the reason relates to what is crossed out, but not to what is added. So the delegate would like to have the reason for the 2 lines that are added, 3 lines even.
No, I didn't want to stray into the technical rules as opposed to the special regulations. But the reason that we have the stops, we were finding that there was excessive use of stopping and excessive use of separation, so we were not seeing teams acting as a unit. We had 16 individuals skating on the ice as opposed to teams performing as a synchronized skating team. That's why we've introduced those restrictions. People should be skating and not standing and posing.
Thank you for the answer. And in our opinion, skating in halls limits teams with a higher level of skating skills to show their abilities and along the whole program. So separating of the team may enhance the music of and the idea of the program and give more freedom to build more creative programs for the coaches. And moreover, the term separating more than necessary is not clear, and there will be a risk of bias judging, like what is more than necessary.
Okay, we will look at the wording of that and try and come back with a clarification for you.
Thank you.
But we do feel it is important that the teams are acting as a unit. We are not forbidding teams to separate. It's just extended separations that we don't want to see.
Okay, thank you.
Katarina Henriksson, Sweden.
Katarina.
Hi. I just want to say that regarding what you said, 365, I think it's really important that we think about if we have the same levels on all the elements, it's the judging +3 or +5 or whatever we're going to have, that will do the technical scores as well as the component scores. So for the future, I would hope that you will look into what happens the next 2 years, because we don't want theater on ice. We need a sport. And to be in the Olympics, you have to be really clear that this is a sport, because it's a really fine line sometimes between theater on ice and synchronized. And I saw that last April with the World Championship. So we really have to take care. So I just wanted to make sure for the future that you pay attention.
We absolutely agree, and that is part of the reason for the previous discussion. We want to move and not have theatre on ice. We want to have synchronized skating. Thank you very much, Katerina. John.
I bet you weren't expecting to see me up here.
Always happy to see you, John.
John Coughlin, Singles and Pairs Technical Committee. I was just regarding 374, the synchronized spin element. I agree that the crossed out wording, entry and exit from a spin must be done at the same time by all skaters. I agree that that's redundant, but I think the and clearly recognizable might be something that's worth retaining, just because I don't want teams, especially when there are that many skaters spinning, I don't want them to be able to kind of have a muddy or unclear exit and try to disguise the lack of unison. So I think there should be a clear exit process from the spin, and that I think if you take this out, that would allow them to kind of circumvent that a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, we'll have a look at that, John.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. We've concluded the agenda. We are only 2 minutes late, and the next session starts at 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Take your seats, please.
Welcome all back again in the plenary session. We have now, I hope you enjoyed the workshops very much. We are now at the agenda item 17, approval of motions concerning amendments to the Constitution and procedural provisions and general regulations specifically designated and summarized in the agenda as drafting matters, and approval of these drafting matters, motions and or referral of certain of those motions identified as such for debate and vote. The following motions labeled as drafting matters have been identified as number 27. So if you agree, then 27 is identified as drafting. You agree? Okay, then we move to item number 18. And before starting with the proposals to the Congress, a few procedural matters need to be clarified. The current ISU statutes don't establish any rules on how to deal with proposals. Instead, Article 30 of the Constitution recommends to follow the procedures contained in Call to Order. However, the problem with this is that Call to Order is not an official but a private Canadian publication. It's not a set of firm rules, but an over 100 pages thick handbook offering certain and not always easy to find guidelines which often lack precise answers and are not specifically tailored to suit an association governed by Swiss law, as is the ISU. Therefore, as you have seen in the Congress agenda, the ISU Council is proposing a whole set of amendments to Article 30 of the Constitution with the purpose of creating legally sound and precise procedural rules which are consistent with Swiss law. And in the interest of legal security, inform all members about their rights in the debates at the Congress are. If you accept the respective amendments to the Constitution, these procedural rules will enter into force only after this Congress. However, under Call to Order, as well as under the Swiss law of associations, the chair is responsible for the smooth, efficient and orderly operation of the General Assembly. And in the absence of respective statutory rules, has the duty and the power to frame the respective procedures. Within this framework, following the advice of the ISU legal advisors and with the agreement of the entire Council, the following principles shall be applied to the forthcoming debates. First, time limits. Statements regarding all proposals shall be kept short and may not exceed 3 minutes. Then only one delegate per member may speak on any specific proposal, with the proposing member speaking first. No member may speak more than twice on the same proposal. Then amendments to propose are to be presented in writing before being voted upon. This is to assure that all members exactly know what they are voting on and to prevent later controversies on the precise content of the respective amendments. Procedural motions will be voted on immediately without prior debate. In principle, we use open voting unless a member requests secret voting on a specific proposal and such request is supported by at least 10% of the votes present. And finally, motions for reconsidering proposals already voted on may be submitted only before the closing of the Congress or the respective branch meetings and need a two-thirds majority for consideration. In order to avoid any misunderstanding, I wish to repeat this is not an anticipated putting into force of the amendments to the Article 30 of the Constitution as proposed by the Council, which you will vote on, but simply fulfilling my task to ensure the smooth conduct of this Congress based on Swiss law and on the practice of previous Congresses. So this is the guideline for the debates which we now will start. And then I give the floor for agenda item 18 to the General Secretary. Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we go to the proposals, and we start with proposal number 1, Bosnia and Herzegovina, referring to Article 1, Paragraph 3. And the proposal basically is to allow ISU members to join together for the organization of regional events. Now, you see the Council recommendation in the agenda. The Council is not in favor, basically saying that the current setup is perfectly all right. It doesn't hinder any members in a region to work together, and makes it clear that the organizing member of the country where the event is hosted is the member responsible to announce it to the ISU for inclusion in the calendar. I don't want to read the whole recommendation, but I see the proposing member having a comment. Mrs. Novakovic.
Yes, Ubavka Kitino Novakovic, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Dear President and delegates, friends, I'm proud to be here to participate in this debate. Our first proposal is based on the words, actually I can start with the words of our President. He finished his report saying that let us move forward together. And our proposal was just to clarify situation which we had in our region. We composed one Balkan Figure Skating Countries Federation many years ago. Then we dismissed it, but during the time that it was existing, we did several Balkan Games competition, which is elite competition and counts medals immediately after European, for example, gold medalist, and then Balkan gold medalist get some scholarship or get some more money, get better rating in their countries. And we just want to work together better for our future. And to make clear, if it's possible to make amendment, if you think that is not needed, at least one communication with clarification could help us to reactivate also our motion to organize Balkan Games, maybe also Mediterranean Games in future, and to get more members from North Africa, for example, which are included in Mediterranean Games. So this is our intention.
Thank you. Agree. Now, I think I can repeat that the Council, and based also on the advice of the legal advisors, definitely is convinced that it is not needed such amendment. It's self-understood. It will also be reflected in the minutes, which you can use. You can use the recommendation of the Council.
Exactly.
But overburdening the Constitution with details based on one region is definitely not a good idea in the opinion of the Council. So the Council is not in favor.
Yes,
but we understand that it can be done, but you don't need it in the book.
Yes, okay. Then minutes will help us, and thank you.
So in any way,
withdraw then.
you withdraw?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Proposal number 2, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Article 1, paragraph 4, to regulate the participation of novice and younger skaters of provisional ISU members. Again, it's a similar situation. The ISU Council thinks that the provincial member situation and the requirements are set in an Article 6, and for age rules it's in the general regulations which clarify exactly who can skate at what time. So including this in the Constitution there wouldn't make sense and would be in conflict with other articles of the Constitution. Again, Mrs. Novakovic.
Situation shows that provisional member, this is okay and clear participation. But it's not clear for a member who are running to get these requirements to be provisional member. It happened the last 4 years. Participation of our friends from former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia in events, and they were not even that time provisional member. So when they apply to our competition, we say, no, we cannot because you are not provisional member. And this is pity. And in other situation, because the novice competition was like non-ISU, which we also need clarification for non-ISU to clarify, in general will be better. And they participated in one, and they get angry with us not to accept them. So therefore will be good one communication, how they can participate, in which categories, and we will be happy. So it came just from the problem, not and to solve the problem.
So basically what you're saying that you would allow non-members to skate already just because they applied. But this would open a very dangerous door we cannot control. Because if somebody is not a provisional member, there's a reason for it. Yeah. And if we take away the security, we open the door to anybody coming to our events and we lose total control. So the key is really to push them to fulfill the requirements and help them to become a provisional member. I think it would be far too dangerous to open this door and allow non-members to come to our competition. They would be, very, very, very dangerous.
Yes, I agree with you, and therefore we couldn't accept. But I'm saying again, in novice categories, which is in ISU regulations as a category, as age, and even it's in 24, novice regulated all how they can participate. That must be club member of the member. But is it possible to do some excuse, or because they already did participate and before becoming member, and new coming also, maybe from Montenegro tomorrow, and maybe from Albania after tomorrow, and we have to see, clarify situation with the non-ISU.
Okay, but I think we are talking about the Constitution here, and here the situation must be clear. Either you are a provisional member or not, and any special gimmicks will put us in trouble. And that's why we have to vote on this situation, on this article. And
maybe it's an article, but you understand that it's coming just to avoid the problem.
Okay, anyway, who is in favor of this proposal? Who is against? Abstained? So the proposal is rejected. Thank you. We go to urgent proposal number 1. ISU Council, Article 5, Paragraph 3. New to update the ISU Constitution with an indication of the ISU's main financial resources in order to meet the requirements of the Swiss Register of Commerce. So the ISU is registered in the Swiss Register of Commerce, which gives us a sign that we exist. Without this, some providers or partners could say, who are you? We don't know you, we don't deal with you. So we need to be registered. And the registration has certain requirements, and one of them is to say where the money comes from that we are working with. And this is a simply formality that we are in line with the Swiss requirements. So we really would ask you to accept this procedural amendment. Any question? Who is in favor? Who is against? Abstain? The proposal is accepted. Then proposal number 3, ISU Council. Article 7, paragraph 1c, to complete Article 7 in view of the scope of jurisdiction and responsibilities of the Disciplinary Commission, clarifying that violations of the obligations mentioned in paragraph 1a and b of Article 7 are subject to the jurisdiction of the Disciplinary Commission. So this is really just a clarification that any violation of the articles, the subparagraph A and B, would be subject to the Disciplinary Commission. Any questions? Who is in favor? Who is against? Abstain? The proposal is accepted. Proposal number 4, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Article 7, paragraph 7, to clarify that an ISU member is not allowed to organize competitions in the country of another ISU member unless the ISU member of that country agrees. Now again, first, if this would have to voted on, I think it wouldn't belong here. It would rather belong in Rule 104. But besides this, it's highly unlikely that anybody would try. And in our rules, the Council would have the right to do so. Now to make not to allow others to do so, even if it's only highly hypothetical, could bring us back into the European Commission story, where they could argue this is again a restriction of free trade, so you're again in trouble with the European Commission. So for two reasons. Firstly, it's only highly unlikely, and secondly, it could put us again in an antitrust story. We would prefer to stay out of this and leave it as it is. Mrs. Novakovic.
We understand, we withdraw, but we have to say to Congress that we put because of some ring corners who are negotiating directly with other federations in the country, because we have an article that we must protect in our territory and we must show that we are controlling the sport in territories. But about third parts, we don't argue and we back and we withdraw. But we're just saying that it's more and more such situations.
Okay, thank you. Withdrawn. Thank you. Proposal number 5. ISU Council, Article 8, Paragraph C, to allow flexibility for job role titles when appropriate. Now we have many of the staff or from the freelancers, from people who we are contracting, they're all called coordinators, but I think honestly they're more than coordinators, they're managers. So I think depending on the role of somebody, they should deserve the proper title, and this is the only change we ask you to accept, that when appropriate, somebody does a managerial job, he gets the title of a manager. I think it's also motivating for the person. Any question? No? Who is in favor? Who is against? Abstain? The proposal is accepted. Proposal number 6, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Article 9, to advance the elections of ISU office holders to the first day of the Congress and to adjust related procedural issues. Now, as you can see from the recommendation of the Council, there is some merit in this proposal. However, there are also some shortfalls. And after quite some debate, the Council came to the conclusion that the shortfalls could be, if it happens, more dramatic or more relevant than the possible positive sides. But we have to admit the proposal has certain merit. But anyway, you see the Council recommendation. But again, Ms. Novakovic, your comments, please.
We accept Council recommendation, and it also should be in provisional procedures. But we made a mistake because in our countries, provisional procedures are out completely as separate document. And therefore, it's from other continent discussion in Dubrovnik, from other delegate, and we just accepted like that, and we supported. That could be good for discussion, to do it first elections, and then to discuss other days for proposal. But for the future, we have time till next election.
So time being, you withdraw, but you see we should keep an eye on it and maybe come back.
You can find in minutes the member who did originally this discussion, and we just like it.
Thank you. Withdrawn. Proposal number 7, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Article 11, paragraph 1. To allow ISU members to make proposal to amend technical rules in the same manner as for the Constitution, General Regulation and Special Regulations. I think we had a similar proposal 2 years ago, which was not accepted, and the reasoning of the Council is still the same. You know, in Budapest 2006, it was accepted that we separate the technical rules, and we have let's say, a summary procedure for the technical rules to make the proceedings a little shorter, all by keeping at the same time the right of the members to veto such proposals on the floor. So the members keep their democratic rights.
Of course,
but by having the procedure we have today, we save time, and maybe more importantly, we are sure that the proposals on the agenda are consistent. If not, you have proposals from different members who might not be consistent, and to regulate this on the floor is impossible, especially for technical rules. So you just had the workshop dealing with that, and at least from the impression the Council got, it was a successful procedure, and that's why the Council proposes to stay and not to change. Mrs. Novakovic.
With today's situation at workshop, that in 2 cases was need like for one amendment. And we are discussing in lobby with other members that we have to think for the situation, possibility for members to come, more members together and to make amendment and not to reject, because we can reject, get together and say, okay, we don't vote for this. Especially if today for quads, where our discussion was different. So it's pity to just to reject. If we get together, we say no, we don't vote, or to vote for it if we want. More members coming together must be able to make amendment, because this is here our highest democratic debate. Of course, not as any politic, we are in positive way. And that will give positive results. Instead of rejection, members are coming together, like today 5-6 members get same opinion to amend the technical proposal. This is the aim.
Vice President Lakernik would like to speak.
But it's a certain misunderstanding. Today there was a discussion on quads, and after that, today in the evening, the technical committee will take into consideration and quite likely amend the proposal, and the amended proposal will be presented when we come back to technical rules. So members' considerations really will be taken into account. Do we need to return to the old procedure and discuss every technical rule at the full Congress one by one?
This is not intention. This is just maybe situation that we have to give our technical. Our are accepted. We don't have any objection. We really work it hardly, and the committee work it hardly. It is only because technical are on by 1st September. And you don't have event. You have Philadelphia summer, and then you have same in same continent. In America, you have Ice Dance International, last 80 years, and then you have maybe one Grand Prix. And this is about a new season, and then you make proposal for the next Congress, which is in June.
No, but
so
just to support what Mr. Lakernik said, there is a procedure where you can make comments, send it to the tech committee. So it's the first step.
Yeah, we
the
did
second
that.
step, excuse me, the second step is during the workshop. There's a debate, and as the example of Mr. Lakernik, there can be resulting in an amendment. So I remember the discussion when we had this restructuring commission. There was exactly the concerns
Yes,
you
of
bring up
course.
now,
I was there.
and through this mechanism of different steps, the commission at that time and then the Congress agreed there is enough flexibility to find the fine-tuning of those technical rooms, but because of some of those possible amendments, we shouldn't sacrifice the whole system, which really works well.
Yeah,
so now you would like that we vote, or you withdraw, or?
No, we withdraw. We're just saying objection, but
okay, we understand. Thank
result
you.
Is, result is that they will amend. Because
thank you.
Other time, thank you.
Proposal number 8. I know. So that's the same story. So this is automatically withdrawn too, no? Proposal number 9, ISU Council, Article 11, Paragraph 2b, to bring the procedures to conduct the Congress to be more efficient and in line with Swiss law. In regard of Paragraph 2b, the purpose for a more understandable wording. So in this specific article, and the legal advisors are free to help me, it's rather a wording story. It's not, I don't think it's a change in any substance, correct?
Yes.
So it's only better wording. So you don't change anything substantial here, you just accept a better wording. Yes, please.
Only one question to the legal advisors. And it's like last time, a very easy question. It can be answered by yes or no. Is it forbidden by Swiss law to have the constitution as it is now? Because it's not only this rule, it's the rule which is reducing the speeching time and always you have this argumentation, it's forbidden by Swiss law. So I want to know, is it forbidden by Swiss law?
I'm sorry, but this question cannot be answered by yes or no, respectively. If you do it, then it's not clear to the people. The situation is as follows. The Constitution as it is now is okay under Swiss law.
Thank
but
you. That's all.
No, that's not all, I'm sorry. There is this referral to the book Call to Order. And there are certain recommendations, as you can see, it is only a recommendation itself, but certain recommendations contained in Call to Order are not in agreement with Swiss law. So that's one thing. The second point is, and maybe I can refer to what the President said at the beginning of this session, if you say, okay, we keep the present constitution, maybe we strike out the referral to Call to Order. The situation we have is that the chairman, the president for the full sessions and the vice presidents for the sections, they are free to establish the procedural rules. So, in other words, if you adopt the new provisions, you have legal security because all member delegates know what rights they have and which they do not. If everything is left to the chairs, you don't have this legal security, and that's why we would definitely advise to have the new rules adopted. And just to tell you a little bit of the background, they are definitely common under Swiss law. They are largely structured according to the rules of procedure of the Swiss Federal Parliament, so there you can be pretty sure that they are not against the law. Thank you.
So an additional question. If it is so complicated by Swiss law, would it make sense that ISU goes somewhere else, to Austria, to Germany, wherever, where it is not as difficult as in Switzerland?
Well, first you would have to furnish evidence that it's not so complicated. Because in fact it's not. What I'm just trying to do is to explain to you the legal basis. Actually, there is many federations that are constructed under Swiss law, and the reason for this is that Swiss law leaves about the biggest space of self-regulation.
Anyway, we go proposal by proposal. And this proposal, like we said before, time being does not change any substance. It's only wording. So do you have a comment on this specific proposal, number 9? Who is in favor? Who is against? Abstain? But the proposal is accepted by obvious show of hands. Proposal number 10, ISU Council. We are still in the same area, but on this proposal and this provision, we deal with the situation when in the case when there are fewer nominations than the number of positions to be elected. So fortunately, we never had this case since the elections when nominations have to be made. You remember until 2002, you could nominate somebody the night before, which created other problems. But anyway, since we have this procedure in place, which I think is fair and which is transparent, we always had enough candidates, and hopefully we will always have this situation. But it could happen one day that for whatever reason there are not enough candidates, and this solution, this proposal will clarify this situation, and there would be no debate then during the Congress of such situation. Any comments, questions? Who is in favor? Who is against? Abstain? The proposal is accepted. Proposal number 11, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Article 13, Paragraph 3, to delete the maximum age for ISU office. Again, if my memory is correct, we had a similar proposal which was not accepted 2 years ago, and the recommendation of the Council is not in favor, mainly for the reasons of good governance. Basically all international federations have both age and term limits. Now you might not like it, but this is really a fact of life that as a proof of good governance, age limits and term limits are becoming mandatory. And anyway, your comments, please. We cannot hear. Sorry. Okay.
Sorry?
It's okay. Now we hear you. Go closer to the mic.
Okay. To withdraw in favor of short track speed skating technical committee proposal, which will be 146. Basically, they say when they reach 70, then they will listed on the list. I can read on the list of international referees, starters, competitors, stewards with S, with sign S. including that they have senior status. So they will include, probably if they vote on this, all judges or starters and so on. When they reach 70, they will include them on the bottom of the list with sign S. And we say that this is fair because we need them. In other competition just recently, they were very active, also in figure skating. They participated in novice categories. We have them as technical. They're warmly welcome, and we need them because always it's not enough judges, officials, and we use them, let's say, as technical controllers. And this is in the rules, and this was even in 2024. Which is for novice categories and
okay.
Communication.
We understand, but...
Okay. So it is in favor of the proposal of short record.
When we get to this proposal in the section, we are obviously free to speak in favor of it, but here we deal with this proposal, and we note that you withdraw.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
I have thanks. Thank you.
Proposal number 12, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Article 15, paragraph 5, to create the position of honorary referees. I think about 10, 15 years ago we already had this. Yes. It was abolished, and now we are in the process of preparing letters like we wrote in the recommendations, where officials who reach the retirement age will receive a letter of thank you and a small token of appreciation. And the Council feels that's a more appropriate and less bureaucratic and burdensome solution than creating yet another position of honorary referees. Anyway, your comments, please.
Our comments are to withdraw, but our comment is
your
also
comment
to,
is
ask you to withdraw next ISU Council proposal number 13. We think that ISU diploma of service, at least for next 2 years,
okay,
and you
when
will
we get
see
there,
why.
we can talk about it.
Okay, I then
Time
withdraw in favor of your withdrawal.
Well, that we see. Let's cross those bridges when we get there. Withdrawn. Proposal number 13, ISU Council. Diploma of service. Now we have to cross this bridge. We never applied this, and we feel that what we just said, that this appreciation to retiring officials is more appropriate, less burdensome, and more personal too. Your comments, please.
My comments are that diploma of service should stay. I got, for example, my first one, this is diploma or kunde from my first world, and I take it here. I'm keeping something like a
but it's not
diamond.
It's
another
diploma.
More.
It's not
yeah,
ours.
It's another diploma, but diploma of service should stay, in our opinion. It is, you cannot say that it's not appreciated. You don't know. I would appreciate. I got also letters of thanks from Excellency of Canadian Ambassador or from ISU. But I would prefer my diploma, I have them here, or from Moscow diploma, or other. So I would prefer.
Congratulations to all your diplomas.
I withdraw so many, but you can withdraw once.
Anyway.
Just for 2 years.
So this stay. One you don't withdraw, but you withdraw or not? No?
No,
we don't withdraw, sorry.
I want to ask you to withdraw. You have more?
It's, proposal number 13.
Huh?
Because
anyway, okay, we vote on it.
And,
so the Council says we never used it, we'll probably never use it, so I leave it, but let's vote on it. Thank you. Who is in favor of deleting this? Please show the green card. Who is against? 1, 2, 3, 4. Withdrawn? Withdrawn. Getting tired.
Thank you. It is for minutes. Thank you.
Abstained, I mean. But there were enough votes to accept the withdrawal of this, the rejection of this proposal. It's proposal number 13, come on. So the proposal is accepted, and this this paragraph will be deleted. Thank you. (14) Bosnia-Herzegovina. Article 16, paragraph 2F, to exclude the President and Vice Presidents from the decision-making procedure for appointment of...
This is misunderstanding.
Oh, maybe.
We wanted to delete last paragraph, which was added exact dates based on proposal, very good proposal from Australia to have 120 days before nomination, because they had only 1 month before appointment for speed skating referees, and it was okay. But now we think that is too early, that is by August, because you don't have competition to monitor officials, and if you give all appointments by that time, that is based on the last season and not of the current season. And this is also disappointing, because then you know that you are not appointed, and then you say, okay, let's see in 2 seasons. So this is complaint. Not the work, they're working hardly, they're monitoring, but this year they will not have chance to monitor. How? They will work drafting committees, new rule books, then it's Frankfurt, then many discussions, then other communications, and how to monitor officials. So we think that August is not a good date. This is complaint. If you can accept.
Okay, so first the clarification, you only want to delete the last subparagraph, not the whole F.
No, only last that was changed.
The last sentence.
We like
about
it very much, proposal from Australia.
Okay, I understand.
But it's 3 months for Junior Grand Prix, for example. But for the world, to give this in August, for the World Championship in March, it's too early. You have to monitor officials during whole season.
Vice President, did we have trouble in meeting this deadline?
Actually, the proposals are practically ready for appointments, and after the Congress will be given to the President. So I don't see any problem, and I don't see that this year is more difficult than any other year.
No, it's principle, because we changed because of the proposal of Australia, but was proposal 120 days and not August. So
Okay.
you don't have new season.
We understand now, at least it's clear you don't want to get rid of the whole paragraph, only about this deadline story.
Yes.
Now we hear, unless Tron tells me
Only deadline.
only the deadline. We hear that the deadline was not a problem, and it keeps maybe a little pressure to do it in a timely fashion. So the council, I don't know, we didn't discuss it because we misunderstood your proposal, but
Sorry about that.
but
Sometimes
anyway, from our point of view, there is no problem. No? So why change? So I would propose that we stay as we are, but we can vote on it.
I prefer what? Just to...
Okay.
For clarification,
Who is
for
in
the
favor of the
discussions.
proposal? So if you vote for this proposal, it means we only delete the last sentence. The rest of this paragraph 16.2f stays as it was. So who is in favor of deleting this last sentence? Who is against? Abstain? The proposal is rejected. Proposal number 15, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I think it's same story, no? So it should be rejected or withdrawn, rejected. Proposal number 16, ISU Council, Article 20, Para 1, to separate the role of the skaters sitting in the technical committees from Athletes Commission elections. And the reason were, due to timing issues, the need for continuity and experience within the technical committees, membership, budgetary factors, practicality, and fairness to skaters who have been appointed to the technical committees. It is fairer and more beneficial to separate the role of the Athletes Commission and of the skater representatives on the technical committees. Now we have the situation if I'm correct, that we have, out of the 5 Athletes Commission members, is only 1 not active anymore, and only 1 sitting on the technical committee. All others, time being, were, as far as we know, active, which then created the amendment 2 years ago for the solution we have now. But it's a very difficult situation. For example, when somebody stops competing, are they supposed to kick out the person we have appointed to the committee? So it's not an ideal solution. The council proposes to make it clear. On the one hand, you have appointed coach and skater on the committee. On the other hand, you have the Athletes Commission elected by their peers. Now, one could argue and say, yes, but the Athletes Commission, they should have some input, some communication with the technical committees. That's true. And we make available a certain budget to the Athletes Commission members to go and visit the TC meetings. Maybe this should be reinforced. But this doesn't mean that they have to be formally a member of the TC. Otherwise, we have a very complex situation. I understand this is not an easy situation, but the Council proposes something to make it clear. Now, this is obviously open for debate. Anybody wants to speak on this? No? Okay, we vote. Who is in favor on this? Who is against? Abstain? The proposal is accepted. Thank you. Proposal number 17, Belgium figure. Article 20, paragraph 1, to increase the number of single and pair skating technical committee members. And they give the reasons for that. The Council says it's not in favor, it rather supports measures to help the committee according to other measures like making available secretarial allowances or similar issues. But anyway, I see a representative of Belgium figure, I guess. Please.
Yes, Peter Riskin, Belgian figure. So, as we mentioned, and I do want to point out that I don't want to minimize the work of the other technical committees, we consider that the technical committee of single and pair skating has, as a matter of fact, 3 disciplines to handle. So we think that by adding 1 member, on the long run, this could mean more efficiency and more exposure. So in that way, also ISU could consider this as, on the long run, a return on the eventual investment, because we know that this, if this would be voted, this will have a financial impact. On the other hand, the ISU also mentions that they might have doubts about the skills of this potential extra member. But in our opinion, if someone presents himself as a candidate for whatever technical committee, I think that we may suppose that they will have the necessary skills and experience. So, in our opinion, it can mean an extra valuable contribution to every technical panel. And on one other point, mentioning the workload, this morning, Freddie, you mentioned that anyhow, the workload of your staff is increasing by all other items. So this rather technical workload would also be a considerable increase for your actual staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lynch. Go closer to the mic, please.
I'll be swallowing it. Mark Lynch from Australia. Just in support of our friends from Belgium's suggestion, and I just want to give a couple of numbers. He suggested workload. The Single and Pair Technical Committee, they have about 330 competitions in a year. Dance has 85 competitions, and Synchro has about 40 competitions, rounding the numbers off to simple numbers. And then looking at the officials that each has to know and then evaluate during a year, including training, singles and pairs, they have 700 officials. Dance has 250 officials. Synchronized has 130 officials. So overall, the Singles and Pairs Committee has 3 times the workload of any of the other committees, and compared to Synchronized, they have probably 7 to 8 times the workload. So I would suggest that Belgium's suggestion that it's just a administrative load, it's actually a little bit more. They have triple the work as a minimum of every other committee, and 1 more person would seem like a very small increase in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Carrion.
Leanna Caron, Figure Canada. I'd also like to offer our support for this proposal. Notwithstanding the numbers that were just presented, it's clear that there is administrative burden of what this committee does that can be handled by the staff. We're talking here about a skilled elected individual who could also fulfill the responsibilities of the committee. So I think there is differentiation to be made between administrative support, which is staff, versus an elected person based on their competency set for this role. Thank you.
Thank you. I just would like to repeat, the council doesn't say we don't care. It's just another means of helping. And if I remember well, many years ago, all the activity book, for example, of the committees were held by the committee. Now it's done in the office, and we are trying to find better information systems to make it more efficient. So anyway, we don't say, the council doesn't say, no, there's no workload, it's all good. We just say the remedy to solve the problem, we propose another solution than adding another committee member. But anyway, I think if there are no other comments, we can vote on this. Those in favor of this proposal, please raise the green card. Those against, the red card. To be sure, maybe it's better we do an electronic vote. I don't want to make a miscalculation here. So if operators, if you could please prepare an electronic vote for proposal number 17. So this is the first electronic vote for the proposals. Here, a 2/3 majority applies, but contrary to 2 years ago, we also take into account abstained votes when we calculate the 2/3 majority. This you voted 2 years ago. This is just for the calculation of the 2/3 majority. There is a change compared to the last Congress. So now when we open the vote, if you're in favor of the proposal, you push 1 and valid. If you're against the proposal, you push 2 and valid. If you abstain, you push 3 and valid. Can you please open the vote?
Freddie,
yes?
May I request that it's a secret ballot so that the results are not displayed? Peter Lynch from Australia.
Well, then if you follow what our procedures, it's 10%. 10% to support your motion. Now let's try with this. Who would be in favor of a secret vote? Show the green card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's it? Okay. Now I have to ask the operators.
Freddie,
sorry?
We must check how many people are present,
Yeah, but
because the numbers might have changed since
Oh,
morning.
you see it afterwards.
No, not 10%. Now, when we calculate 2/3, we must know how many delegates are present.
But you see when the vote comes. But for the secret vote, if I'm not mistaken, you can make it secret, no, so that nobody can see who has voted what. Can you confirm that? Yes. So nobody will be able to see who voted how. If somebody wants to go and check there, you're free to move there and watch at their screen. Mr. Geistlinger does so because he's a scrutineer for the election, so he will do the same to make sure there is no list showing who voted how. Are you ready for the secret vote? Can you open the vote? So 1 valid, or 2 valid, or 3 valid, depending on what you choose. Can you see if everybody voted? Yes? Yes? Then if everybody voted, you can close the vote. Can you close the vote? Sorry. Okay. So please make sure you have voted. Let's close the vote and see what the numbers are, if it's close. Okay, it's a clear vote. We don't have to worry about the 2 or 3 who might not have voted. 93, 16, and 8 accepted. Obviously, this is valid only after the Congress. We will not elect a 5th member this time, correct? So these elections are still under the old regime. Just to be clear, no? Or not? Yes. There was no motion to make it immediately effective, so this will be effective after this Congress.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Freddie Smith, I'd like to put a motion that we vote on having it become effective for this election, and that the vote be a closed vote again, please.
You know, basically the Constitution, if I'm not wrong, says it should have been said so before, no? But anyway, we are not, we don't, I pointed it out because I realized that probably nobody was aware that if you don't say so, it will only happen after. So I don't have a problem personally, unless the Council has an objection, No? Okay, so we do the same vote, but this time you just vote whether this is effective already for the election 2018 or only effective for the election 2022. So please prepare the same, sorry?
It's unclear what we're voting on. May I just suggest that it is a simple vote, yes, no, or abstain, for it to become effective at this election.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Or not. So maybe can you prepare the vote again? Again, secret vote. Mr. Geistlinger is making sure it's secret. Okay, I repeat, if you want that it's effective this election, you push 1. You say yes. If you say no, it can wait, you push 2, no. If you don't know, you push 3, and always 1 valid, 2 valid, or 3 valid. Please open the vote. Did everybody vote? Okay, can we close the vote, please? And I have a little guess what's coming. Can you show the result? So 98-15-4. So by this we will change this election procedure that for the single and pair skating tank committee only, there is 1 additional member to be elected. Thank you. I think it's time. Huh? Mr. Chair says I should go on a little bit longer. If you agree, you agree. Proposal number 18, Article 20, paragraph 2C, to separate the role of the skaters sitting in the Technical Committee from the Athletes Commission elections. Again, we are in the same story. You already approved the basic principle, and this is just a consequence that now we don't talk anymore about the Athletes Commission, we only talk about appointments. Are there any comments? Who is in favor? Well, logically, you should be in favor if you were in favor before. Who is against? Abstain? The proposal has been accepted. Proposal number 19, Article 20, paragraph 2D. Again, the same story, and logically, you should be in favor because it's the consequence of the 2 previous votes. Who is in favor? Against? Abstain? The proposal has been accepted. Proposal number 20. We are still in the same area, but still, normally you should be in favor, but you might want to read all the details, so make sure that, you know, in the procedure, in the wording, you don't have a problem. Any comments on this proposal? still in the same situation of separating the Athletes Commission from the technical committees. Any comments? Who is in favor? Who is against? Abstain? The proposal is accepted. Proposal 21, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Article 22, Paragraph 2, to include in the task of the Medical Commission the preparation, monitoring and maintenance of medical memorandum for ISU events, as well as preparation of separate medical guidelines for other international competitions or events. Now the Council says we don't say they shouldn't do that, we just say in the Constitution we should not go in those specifics and leave it up to the Medical Commission to issue the memorandums, the guidelines they feel appropriate for each event. And if it's a different guideline for different events, I'm sure they will be smart enough to do so. So in the Constitution, which only talks about the basic guidelines of our union, we are not in favor of including those type of details. But anyway, Mrs. Novakovic, your comments.
We understand our motion was just because of the fact that in Rule 140, as was amended, if I'm not wrong, I don't have minutes with me, last Congress by Finland, which is good amendment, and now we have that organizer must acquaint themselves with all of the details of the guideline and memorandums. And we had the troubles in many international competitions because of 2049 guideline, or this for emergency cases, new communication, that we cannot pay, or organizer don't have money to pay 4 persons for 3-4 days, and this is issue, especially not for novice categories, for junior singles categories, cannot be the same 4 persons for championships and during all practice, they cannot pay. I, as a referee, after this change, I insisted, and they couldn't pay, even my member, and this is issue. So we are fine if you say that could be suggested to them to make a new communication for international competitions, but for events to stay with the 4. But for international, we cannot, and therefore it's this motion. Just to have clarification in case that something happened, because it's not during the warming up of pairs, of 4 pairs, or during warming up of 4 or 6 junior ladies.
Okay, I understand your concern. One remark I have to say, if there is an injury, whether you're at a championship or you're at a small event, it's the same problem. So I'm sure the Medical Commission, if there can be ground to make a distinction, between the type of events, they will do so. But
as a referee, I insist to have 4.
Please.
And if they don't have, what I
Bafka, excuse me, may I finish? So I'm sure, Jay Moran, can you confirm that whenever possible you will make a distinction among events, but sometimes it might not be possible. So I think we should leave it to the Medical Commission. They took your point that you're concerned about the cost, everybody is. But to go into these details in the constitution of an organization, I think would be a big mistake.
Yeah, I understand.
But Jane is nodding. She took your point, so the message is well taken.
Thank you.
You withdraw?
Yes.
Thank you. We stop. Okay, I got the green light of Mr. Chair that we stop. But you're not released. At least those who will vote for the elections on Friday are invited to stay here. And like we did 2 years ago, we do a little rehearsal so that on Friday you're comfortable and familiar with the voting procedure and system, and everything will go smoothly. So those who will be in charge of pushing the buttons on Friday for the elections, please stay. For the others, have a great evening.